Okay, if you're an iOS developer, you've totally been here. A user taps or swipes and something about your app just feels a little off, right? That tiny little gap between a super intuitive UI and a frustrating one, well, it almost always comes down to how you're handling gestures. Today, we're going to break down the two big patterns UIKit gives us to get this right.
So before you even type a single line of code, you got to ask yourself this one question. Is the user's touch just a simple command, like flipping a light switch, click, and it's on? Or is it more like starting a conversation, a back and forth between different parts of your screen? Nailing this distinction right up front is the secret, because it points you exactly where you need to go.
All right, let's start with that light switch idea. For those really simple, direct commands, UIKit has the perfect tool for the job. The target action pattern. And honestly, it's as straightforward as it sounds.
So how does this actually work? It's kind of beautiful in its simplicity. You just create a gesture recognizer, and you tell it two little things. First, who to tell when something happens, that's your target. And second, what method to call, that's your action. When the user does the thing, UIKit just makes the call for you. It's a straight shot from their finger right to your code.
And setting it up is just as easy. It's a simple three-step dance. You make the gesture, you tell it where to go with the target in action, and then you just slap it onto your view. Bam! Done. Super clean, super efficient.
So yeah, this is your absolute go-to for simple stuff. Tapping a button, swiping to delete something. If it's a one-to-one deal, target action is your best friend. But, and this is a big but, what happens when your gestures start stepping on each other's toes? That's where this pattern kind of hits a wall, and we need to pull out a more powerful tool.
And for those more, let's say, complicated situations, we've got our second pattern, the delegate. Look, if target action is the simple light switch, then the delegate is mission control. We're not just reacting anymore, we're actively coordinating the whole show.
And here is the absolute game-changing difference. With the delegate pattern, your code becomes like a trusted advisor. Before a gesture even gets recognized, UIKit actually comes to your delegate and asks for permission. It's literally asking, hey, should I even let this gesture begin? Or, hey, can this pan gesture and this scroll gesture work at the same time? You get to be the one to make the final call.
Now, setting it up looks pretty similar at first glance, but step 2 there, that is everything. By setting that little .delegate property, you're basically telling the gesture, hey, before you do anything, you have to check with me first. Then it's all on you to implement the delegate methods that lay down the law for how your gestures behave.
This is where the delegate really earns its keep. You got a view that you need to pan around, but it's also inside a scroll view? The delegate can sort that out, no problem. Need to stop a tap from firing while a user is in the middle of a swipe? That is exactly the delegate's job. It gives you that super fine-grained control you need to build those really slick, seamless experiences in complex UIs.
Okay, so we've seen them both on their own. Now let's put them in the ring, head to head. This is where it's going to get crystal clear which tool you should be reaching for and when.
This table pretty much says it all, doesn't it? Just look at that first row on purpose. Target action is all about triggering an action after the fact. The delegate, though, that's about controlling behavior before it even starts. It's really the difference between being reactive and being proactive. One is for a single, simple gesture. The other is the traffic cop you absolutely need when you've got multiple gestures all fighting for the spotlight.
So far, we've kind of framed this as an either-or decision, right? Target action versus the delegate. But here's the real secret to unlocking an amazing user experience. It's not a competition. Not at all.
Think of target action as the what. It's just a simple statement. A tap happened, so now we run this function. It's the end of the command.
And a delegate? That's the when and the how. It's the series of questions that have to be answered before that command can even be given. Hey, based on everything else going on, is it okay for this gesture to even be recognized right now?
And here it is, the main takeaway. You almost always use them together. You use target action to define what cool thing happens when a gesture is recognized, and then you assign a delegate to that exact same gesture to define the rules of the road, to make sure it plays nice with all the other gestures. Think of it like this. The delegate is the bouncer checking IDs at the door, and target action is the party happening inside.
So that brings us to the final thought. Go on, open up your own projects. Where do you have that slightly clunky interaction because two gestures are fighting? Where could a delegate just step in, act as the referee, and create a truly flawless, totally intuitive experience for your users? I bet the answer is already sitting right there in your code.